Hello, this is Harry Paden. I am the host of Paden's Pulpit. Today is Season 2, Episode 37. Season 2, Episode 37. Today's subject is something you won't see or hear about in many other places. I try to give you news and information that others aren't covering. That is, today is National Grandparents' Day. Today, September 10th, is National Grandparents' Day. You probably didn't know that. Hopefully you know it now. Information about Grandparents' Day. Today, you won't see a whole bunch of cards, a whole bunch of stuffed animals, balloons, and all that. And in my opinion, which is the only opinion that counts for Paden's Pulpit, is that's a definite disservice to grandparents. Grandparents should be honored, they should be revered, they should be made felt special, not just on one day, but every day. But let me get into the text of what I'm going to bring you. National Grandparents' Day falls each year, every year, on the first Sunday after Labor Day. It's not a holiday that's filled with cards and flowers. It was initiated at the grassroots level by a person from West Virginia, Marion McQuaid, with the behind-the-scenes support of her husband, Joseph McQuaid. So the McQuaids, they had 15 children, 43 grandchildren, 10 great-grandchildren, and 1 great-great-grandchild. So certainly that was a great idea because they are grand in many ways. Here are some purposes, 3 specific purposes for National Grandparents' Day. The number 1 reason, to honor grandparents. Number 2, to give grandparents an opportunity to show love for their children's children. And number 3, to help children become more aware of the strength, information, and guidance older people can offer. Throughout history, grandparents have played significant roles in families. And that's probably why Congress passed legislation way back in 1978 that earmarked the first Sunday after Labor Day as National Grandparents' Day. So way back in 1978, that day was designated, but most of us haven't heard of that day. That's a shame. National Grandparents' Day is a day to recognize, educate, and celebrate the important contributions older adults have made throughout history. On a societal level, National Grandparents' Day gives us a chance to publicly affirm the identity and importance of grandparents, what they do, and how they play a vital role in families. It is also a day of giving of self, sharing hopes, dreams, and values, and setting an example and advocating for future generations. Grandparents give advice. Grandparents teach young children. Some grandparents, and I admire them so much, are primary caregivers. By that, for whatever reason, the mother and father, or mother or father, parents of the children are not there, and some grandparents are raising like their children. They're raising their grandchildren. I admire them. I really do. I probably would do the same, but thank God my children are all great parents and they're raising my grandchildren. But I admire grandparents who are primary caregivers, and grandparents give love. The role of a grandmother in the family is a special one for many Latinos. And abuela is not just a grandmother. An abuela is a role model, mentor, caregiver, and friend. If you talk to any of your Latino, Latinx, Hispanic friends, they'll tell you a grandmother is revered, respected, and her word is generally sometimes the last word, even if you don't want it not to be the last word. But that's how much they're respected in the Hispanic community. Honoring our grandparents is also a significant practice in African American culture. Grandparents have always played important roles in nurturing and stabilizing families. In Africa, directly, not African American, but in Africa, they're called elders. Grandparents is you get what I'm saying. It's not the grandparent term. We talk about our elders, though they serve the role of parents of the children and, parents of the children's children. Elders are respected in the African culture. Whether through discipline, financial support, kinship, or caregiving, grandparents have always been a vital part of our families. That's why today, on National Grandparents' Day, you should take a minute to thank a grandparent, your grandparent specifically. But if for some reason your grandparent wasn't in your life, for whatever reason, good, bad, or indifferent, take the time to honor a grandparent of someone and say, thank you for being such a great role model. Thank you for being so grand. That's what the term is. They're a grandparent. They're grand. They're special. They parent the parent who parent the children. I have 22 grandchildren and 11 great-grandchildren. Let me paraphrase that. Let me rephrase that. At last count, I have 22 grandchildren and 11 great-grandchildren. My children have children. But the blessing is that my children are taking care of their children, so no matter how many they have as a child, they're taking care of them and they're raising them in a way that I find acceptable as a grandparent. And I just try to serve the role as if they need any advice, they can get it. They don't call me because they know what they're doing. I'm blessed. Their children are blessed. I love being a grandparent. The children, my children, and probably your children say, wait a minute, this is not the same person who raised me. No, we're not. There's a grandparent's love is a special love. Special love. It's a special love. It's different, it's softer, it's tender, it's kinder. We've practiced on you, and now we use the best of our best on our grandchildren. Happy Grandparents' Day. Again, if your grandparent never did anything for you, as a matter of fact, if they did 100 things against you, just simply say, grandparent, I thank you for birthing my parent into life, because then they birthed me into life. Thank you for birthing me in life, because then I was able to birth my children into life, thus making me a grandparent. Give grandparent love today. Forget all that animosity, hatred. It's about love. Our elders should be respected and revered. Happy Grandparents' Day to all the grandparents out there and all those who step in the role of a grandparent. To God be the glory.